Hello, it's SuziChoclat here. I'm going to do a video today just showing you how to fussy cut out of one of Drop of Sunshine's digital designs. I'm going to show you how we can cut out these sections here on a scan and cut with a tiny little outlay, which will it will look like a die cut. So it will have a little white section all the way around all of these pieces, as if you had laid a die cut over top of them. And so I can't remember which piece of which collection this comes from, Marta, and my sincere apologies for that. But anyway, I think you'll be able to have a quick flick through Marta's papers and you'll be able to find this one. But it's just to give you some instructions if you're not familiar with cutting things out like this on your scan and cut, how you can actually do it. And so I'm just going to pop my camera up onto my screen of my scan and cut in a moment. First of all though, we are just going to look at, so I've chopped it off of the bottom, and so that's what we've got here. I've got my standard tack adhesive mat. It doesn't matter if it's a standard or a light tack, whatever you've got that's working. And if you've got if you've got any marks on it like I have on here, this is a fairly new one, but I have got marks where I've cut things. Don't worry about that at all, because we can get rid of them. And so I'm just going to lay this up at the top corner, not right up to the black not right up to this black outline. I'm just going to leave about 1/8 of an inch, just so that if any of the when we do the outline, if it goes up to the edge of the paper or off of the actual mat, or the machine thinks it is, then it will block out all of the pieces that it feels are going to be inhibited by that. And so I always leave a tiny little bit all the way around. So I've just stuck that onto my mat, and obviously my mat is already fed in, and I've stuck that onto the top of my mat. And now I'll just move my camera up onto the scan and cut screen. And so here we are, we're back, and we've now got the camera focused on the screen of the scan and cut. Now I've recorded this 3 times so far, and each time the autofocus is not working. So I'm hoping that when I put my pen to the screen to choose my options, that it's going to continue to autofocus now, because hopefully I've set it correctly. And so if you see a little bit of moving in and out, hopefully that's because the camera is refocusing. But I will just check as we go through to make sure that it is. Anyway, so we're going to click on scan, then we're going to do a direct cut, and we're going to use the machine to do the converting. And I'm using a 12 by 12 scanning area, and I've got the black and white recognition mode on. And as the instructions show there, we've got the material, the card, on the mat, and we're ready to go. So we press the start key, and it's now going to scan in the paper we've placed on the mat. And then it's going to hopefully recognise everything that's on that piece of Marta's paper. There we are. So that looks superb, doesn't it? Excellent. So we'll click the OK button, and that looks like a hot mess now, doesn't it? Because this is all the lines on my cutting mat that is picked up. But don't worry about that if yours is like that. Mine's a fairly new mat, and so it hasn't got an awful lot on. But some of my other mats are really quite a mess. But don't worry, because we're going to cut it off. And so we are going to use this little arrow down the right hand corner, and we're going to drag it up and choose the area that we want to print. not print, that we want to scan, sorry. And so I'm going to cut off the bits across the bottom there about Marta's Facebook, because I don't want to cut them out. And I'm going to bring this in as close as I can and see if that's picked everything up. I think that looks okay, doesn't it? Actually, it's not picked up that word at the bottom there, so maybe that's because I've gone a little bit too high. So we'll try that. We'll try that. Oh, actually, it hasn't picked up the edge of the feather just up there either. And I think that's probably because it's a little pale, because it does need to have a fairly darkish edge. So I should have just put a little pencil line around that, but you know, that's just a tiny little bit that we can cut with a pair of scissors, and so I don't think that's going to matter, but that's what we should have done. Oh, and also, third time lucky, I thought, I haven't done the line between the F and the R on the friend. So we're going to have to rescan it. So I'm just going to draw with a pencil. I'm just going to join the F up to the R, just a little pencil line so it doesn't cut the F off of that word. And I'm also just going to draw around the top of that little feather. I think it's probably my printer has made it a little bit pale. And so I think that is better. So I'm just going to do a rescan. So I'm just going to go back and say, okay, we'll start again. Direct cut, scan to machine, start. And hopefully it's going to recognise it this time. So that looks pretty good. So we say okay. And yes, it has picked up the whole top. So that was because my printer has printed the pale blue a little bit pale. But I've done it in pencil, and so as soon as it's cut out we can rub that off. It's not going to matter at all. And the friend has picked up the gap between, because that's not cutting the F from the rendy bit, and so that's looking okay now. So let's resize. So we're going to drag this up here as far as we can, cut the Facebook bits off the bottom, and nope, that's gone a bit too far. There we are. What we can do is we can zoom in if we want to. Zoom in so you can see what is actually around the area. And so let's go back, and I want to go in a little bit, and I think that looks pretty perfect. It doesn't look like anything much on there. So let's do a preview and see what it's picked up. And yes, that looks fairly perfect to me. Okay, and so let's do OK again. And it's just processed it and shown exactly what the cutting lines are. And as long as you're happy with what you can see on there, and it looks pretty perfect, that it's going to go around everything and it's not cutting any middle bits out, and there's, it looks okay to me. So this is where we put the outline on, so that you have a white piece edge all the way around, like you would on a die cut. I like 0.04, and so that's what I'm going to add on, and I'm just going to say OK. If you had any bits from your cutting mat, if you had any little bits showing around here that you want to get rid of, you can go into Edit, and it will automatically pick up all the pieces that I've scanned in. If you wanted to delete that one, for example, you could just bin it. But if you've got a little dot up here, for example, you could just touch on it and then bin it, and it would get rid of any little dots that you don't want from around all this mess that you've got on your cutting mat. Obviously we don't want to delete that, and there's nothing else that I want to do there, so I'm going to say OK and come out. And so this is what we were doing. We were doing the outline distance of a 0.4, so that's there now, and then we'll say OK again, and now we're ready to cut. So we're going to select that we want to cut. It says there is a pattern out of the effective area. The pattern cannot be cut or drawn. Well, I didn't see anything that had been greyed out. Let's have a look. What's been greyed out then? That's interesting. I can't see anything that it has greyed out. There should be 3 feathers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. 2 of those. 1 of them, and the 4 words. Now I'm just going to get a bit, come around the other side of the camera and just have a close look. No, you all look like they're perfect to me, and I'm just going to check the focus to see that you can still see, and I hope you can. That looks all right. And so let's go forth and cut and see if it does miss anything. And so hopefully if I move the camera down so you can watch, it's not going to, and perhaps I'll have to refocus up here. There we are. So you can see it cutting away there, nice and quickly. So this is my first scan and cut video. I've had a scan and cut CM300 for about 5 years, and the last 18 months it hasn't worked because there's a little issue with the on-off button, and so I haven't been able to focus very well. It hasn't been able to focus very well when you're trying to look at the screen, and so I haven't been able to use it. And I thought I would buy myself an upgrade, so I've gone for a DX machine, which is the one with the auto blade. All the instructions that I've given shown on the screen are the same for the CM. All the things I've chosen will be the same on the CM machine. It's just that if you've got a CM machine, you'll set your blade to the depth of the paper that you've printed Marta's design on, and if you're familiar with the machine, then that shouldn't have been too much of an issue. And so yeah, this is a new machine to me, and I'm learning how to operate it again, because I've been 18 months without doing anything at all, so I've got to remind myself on how to do some of the things. Some of it has disappeared out of my head, but I would like to do a little series of these videos. And so I know there are lots of people who have got a scan and cut machine, and they've not taken it out of the box yet because they're scared about it. They're not scared to do anything with it. They don't want to cut, and so it's sat in the box in the cupboard, and it's a lot of money to just sit in the cupboard. And so if that's you who I'm talking about, please, please, please get it out of the box, and I'll help you. I'm willing to help anybody get started with their scan and cut. Doing this fussy cut type thing is one of the quickest things that you can learn, and it's very helpful for your stamps. I know this is a printed piece of paper, but you can cut any stamps that you've got. If you haven't got a die set that goes with the stamp, it doesn't matter. You can set it up on here and we can cut it out. And I'm happy to show you that. So if there's anybody who's got a scan and cut who's keen and watching, if there's anything that you'd like me to do a little tutorial on, then please do leave the information in the comments. I'm really happy to help you do whatever you want. I'm not an expert in this machine, but I have had one for 5 years, well, 4.5, no, 3.5 that I could actually use it. But in that time I did do a lot with it and used a lot of the different options that you have on the machine. And so if I can help you, I will. And so, as I say, if there's anything you'd like to see, then please do leave me a comment and say, yeah, I'd like you to teach me how to do this, whatever it is. Anyway, we've now cut. And so I'm just going to pull off the card. And you can see the magic that has happened. And so there is all the... Hopefully you're still in focus. Are you still in focus? There's all the wording that we've cut out. So the feathers are all cut out. There's the, just let me pull that one off. There's the one that I had to draw around. So there's the one I had to just do the little end because that's very pale. Just drawn around that with the pencil, and now we can rub it off and that will be perfect. And so everything else, the friend is, sorry, I'm using my finger, I should be using my spatula. The friend is cut into one word, and so you can see that little line. I joined the F to the R. You can now rub that out if you wanted to, or you can leave it. It looks pretty alright to me because it's very similar in colour to the colours that Marta's used in the friend word. And so that's really easy, really very easy, just a few taps of the button, and you know, you can do something like this. You saw me set this as a 0.4 for the outline, and so that looks like that. I'm just going to show you what a 0.8 looks like in comparison, and so that is the 0.8. On a small item like this, that looks too much for me. I think on a bigger object, that size outline would be okay, but for me that's a bit too wide. I'll use these, I'm not going to waste them, but I won't cut them a 0.8 small things on a 0.8 outline anymore. I shall definitely cut them on a 0.4. And so that's your tutorial for today. Hopefully you've learned something, you've picked up some tips and tricks, or you know, if you're brand new to a scan and cut, hopefully you've learned something that you're going to be able to put into practice. If you've liked what you've seen, if you could give me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it, so I can see that you've enjoyed and you're keen to get started with your scan and cut. If there's anything you want me to show you, as I said, just leave it in the comment box. If you would like to see the further videos that I'm going to do in this little collection of scan and cut things, please do hit the subscribe button, and if you hit the bell, then you'll get a little reminder when I put up a new video on my YouTube channel. So that's it for today. So I'll say thank you very much for watching this short tutorial, and until next time, bye bye.